Hello, hello, Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game. And today I'm going to talk about my League of Explorers Budget Shaman deck. This is a budget deck that I've designed for players who are very new to the game, still a beginner, and have purchased the League of Explorers expansion either with gold or money because it was the latest expansion and you wanted all the new cards. Well, first off, congrats. It's a really fun expansion or adventure and has quite a few very powerful cards, so I think it's a great way to start off your collection. But this deck is a budget deck that utilizes all those League of Explorers cards that you have and adds in 500 Arcane Dust worth of other crafted cards. So I've implemented a 500 Arcane Dust limit so that you won't go over budget creating a beginner deck to get started on the ranked ladder. Now that said, this is not an ultra refined deck. It does make some concessions to the budget, and some free cards are included or cheap cards that aren't necessarily ideal. But still, this is a deck I've worked on and play tested to get it into a good spot for a budget player. It will never carry you all the way to legend ranks, but it's competitive enough to take you to rank 15, rank 12, even rank 10 if you're skilled and patient and persistent with the list. It has a lot of potential. It's actually, for a budget list, one of the most fun and enjoyable lists I've played in a very long time. It can do some pretty crazy things, and there are a lot of fireworks to see with this list, so I think you'll enjoy it a lot. So the general strategy with the League of Explorers budget mech battlecry shaman is two things. First off, you have a lot of mech synergy that allows you to get out onto the board early and just present tons of bodies for your opponent to deal with that allow you to apply constant pressure and just push them over basically with a really smooth curve, as you'll see this very pretty curve, and eventually win just on the back of very solid board presence. But it also has some battlecry synergies thanks to Rumbling Elemental and or Brand Bronzebeard, and a handful of mechs that actually have very strong battlecries and other battlecry cards in this list like Frostwolf Warlord and Fire Elemental, Gorillabot A3, Tinkertown, etc. that allow you to do lots of chippy damage with Rumbling Elemental or make very, very big plays with Brand Bronzebeard. So not only do you have the mech synergy that can give you a ridiculous early game, you actually have quite a bit of mid-game depth and range thanks to all these cards, and even a couple of late-game threats like Fire Elemental and Frostwolf Warlord that not only allow you to win games really quickly, but can occasionally give you the reach that you need to win against control decks or mid-range decks as well. So, now that you kind of have an idea how this deck is designed and what the general strategy is, I think it's just helpful to go card by card and discuss each card's goal and purpose really in this list. Starting with Rockbiter Weapon. This 1-mana spell gives a friendly character +3 attack this turn. That can be either your face or a friendly minion. And primarily this spell was included as a removal card. This deck is mostly about placing minions and doesn't have much in removal. It has a Hex. But Rockbiter Weapon's really important just because in the metagame right now there are a couple early game minions that you can't let get out of control, namely Darnassus Aspirant. Knife Jugglers are always a threat, but particularly Tunnel Trog from aggressive shamans. And sometimes you'll just need that Rockbiter to stay alive in the first few turns and to keep the enemy board in check. So it's really good there because the mana flexibility allows you to slot it in, on turn 1, of course, but also maybe on a turn 3 with a 2-drop or turn 4 with a 3-drop. So you can really work with it thanks to the mana. But also Rockbiter Weapon has some interesting synergy with Whirling Zap-O-Matic. This Wind Fury minion gets to attack twice for 6 damage on its own. When you add in 2 Rockbiters, it can attack twice for 9 damage each, doing 18 damage. Now that rarely happens, but it does occasionally happen if you play this list enough, and it will almost certainly win you the game right there all on its own. So Rockbiter has a dual purpose there. Sir Finley Murgleton is just a nice 1-drop body from League of Explorers. He can test 1 health early game minions very nicely, and he's a annoying minion for people to deal with. I've seen games where he lasts till from turn 4 or 5, which can be really nice with like a Bloodlust or a Frostwolf Warlord in this deck. So his 3 health is a little bit annoying for people, but his Battlecry is also very nice. For shamans in particular, he allows you to discover a new hero power. Totems are fine in this deck just because Bloodlust and Frostwolf Warlord, your big 2 finishers, are good with bodies, and totems tend to stick around. But the Paladin hero power is also good, getting Silverhand recruits. And sometimes just getting an active hero power like the druids or the mages allows you to deal with the board a little easier and use your mana more wisely. But also against aggressive decks, sometimes the priest or warrior hero power can go a long way towards keeping you alive while you try to build a board and find lethal. Also, the battlecry triggers Rumbling Elemental, which is pretty cool. 5 mana play, and battlecry triggers are really important in this deck. Acidic Swamp Ooze is a free minion, that's why he's in this list. But he's actually just a good card to tech into a lot of lists right now because so many weapon classes are out there, including shamans with their very scary Doomhammers. And taking out a 7 mana investment Doomhammer with a 2 mana card that also plays a minion is incredibly strong. Any weapon you destroy with this card is good. And a 3/2 body is a never bad thing to have for 2 mana. Anoyatron's our first mech on this list. He is a taunt, first and foremost, and the only taunt this list actually has. So sometimes in a pinch, he can help you stay alive or protect some really valuable minions, particularly like if you get him in front of a Mech Warper. His Divine Shield can be really good with Rockbiter Weapon to trade up and clear stuff that's a little bit nastier. And of course, Mech synergies are always good as well if you can get him out really cheap or for free. That's always nice. And he procs things like Tinkertown or Gorilla Bot because he's more likely to stay alive than your other mechs, so he provides some synergies here. Jeweled Scarab is a League of Explorer card. 2 mana 1/1's not very good on its own, but the battlecry is pretty nice. Discover a 3-cost card. As you'll see with Shaman, there are some pretty powerful 3-cost cards. Feral Spirits is great. Power Mace is very good in this list, and it's one I've picked often just because it's a little bit of damage and also synergizes with your mechs so very nicely. Healing Wave can be good if you need a last second heal. Hex is great removal. Lava Burst is solid damage. Unbound Elemental probably won't work too well with this list just because there aren't a lot of overload cards. In fact, there are none. And these all could have different utility uses depending on where you're at in the game or what you need. So those are great too. There are some handful of neutral cards that are also useful in certain situations. So 3 drops for Shaman are not bad at all, and there's a lot to choose from. So you'll have some flexibility and some interesting play decisions to make thanks to Jeweled Scarab. This card also synergizes with Brand Bronzebeard. So you get to draw 2 cards, which is really nice because this deck doesn't have any natural card draw. It relies on Jeweled Scarab and Gorilla Bot A3 and just a really smooth curve. So it can't last forever, but these can help you in a pinch. Plus the Battlecry will trigger Rumbling Elemental's effect, which is very nice. Mech Warper is next. It is your core mech card. I just finished a game right before making this video where I had turn 2 Mech Warper, coin into Mech Warper, into a free Whirling Zap-O-Matic, which all stayed alive. And then the next turn, I had a Piloted Shredder Harvest Golem for 3 total mana. So on turn 3, I had 2 Mech Warpers, a Whirling Zap-O-Matic, a Harvest Golem, and a Piloted Shredder on the board on turn 3. And that's exactly what Mech Warper allows you to do. I obviously won that game easily and just completely steamrolled a guy. Now that doesn't happen every game. You can't always live the dream like that. But when it does, it will definitely earn you extra wins and certainly helps the win rate of this deck overall. Usually it's just going to give you a 1 or 2 mana discount at most, but even a turn 3 Mech Warper Anoyatron's a strong play. And getting out Whirling Zap-O-Matics early can win you the game just from the damage they provide, because they're very hard for some people to deal with in the early game. On that note, Whirling Zap-O-Matics, our next card. This is just a really threatening mech for people to have to deal with. It's obviously scary with Rockbiter, but even if it's not, it can chip 3 damage and still make a trade. And it forces an answer from your opponents, or sometimes makes them play inefficiently, and allows you to gain a more long-term advantage. Hex is your ultimate removal for this deck. This deck's mostly about building a board as opposed to controlling your opponents. So Hex doesn't necessarily fit all that well, but sometimes you'll just have to get rid of something like a Tyrion that's in your way and preventing lethal, and Hex is exactly what allows you to do that well. So it never hurts to have a Hex in hand. Brand Bronzebeard is the first Battlecry synergy card in this deck, because this deck is not just about mechs, it's also about Battlecries. So your Battlecries trigger twice with Bran. Now that's great with your draw Discover cards like Jeweled Scarab and Gorilla Bot, but it's also fantastic with like Tinkertown. You can get a 5/5 and 2 spare parts for only 3 mana, which is totally nuts. It's also good with Frostwolf Warlord. He gets a double buff, and Fire Elemental does 6 damage. Sir Finley and Acidic Swamp Ooze won't help too much from getting double battlecry effects. In fact, they won't do anything. But there are still a lot of different ways this deck benefits from Bran. Plus, as a 3 mana 2/4, he's just a solid body that can force your opponent to do stupid things because they're scared of him. And solid bodies with nice health totals for their cost are good in this deck, just thanks to Frostwolf and Bloodlust, which benefit from minions on the board. On that note, Harvest Golem is a very sticky mech. It's very likely to stay around for a while because people hate dealing with it, and it leaves a body when it dies. Again, that's great for our late game finisher options. The mech synergy is also good because having a mech stick around is fantastic for Tinkertown and Gorilla Bot. Tinkertown is just your kind of early to mid game value minion. Getting a 4/4 for 3 is very strong and trades very favorably into lots of different things. Plus the spare part is nice. And of course, the battlecry effects and synergies also do lots. Gorilla Bot A3, very similar to the last option, just a early to mid game value minion that gives you some more depth in your deck and essentially some card draw. And there are some very powerful mechs to discover as well. So it can be great to give you some late game threats like a Piloted Sky Golem or a Force Tank or a Sneeds, etc. It allows you to play up a little bit above your collection and above your deck. It can also give you really desperate needs like an anti-heal bot or potentially even a Jeeves if you're out of cards and need to draw something, or an Enhance so if you have a big board. There's lots of different things Gorilla Bot allows you to do in the late game as kind of a desperate reach type card. Piloted Shredder is another just value minion. It's really the ultimate budget card. It's good in every single deck, and it's scary for opponents. Trades favorably into lots of stuff and leaves a minion on the board, which is great for our finishers. Rumbling Elemental is the second big battlecry synergy card in this deck. It's a 2/6, which isn't particularly exciting as a stat total until you consider that it's very likely to survive for a few turns, which is great for Bloodlust and Frostwolf Warlord. But also, the fact that it sticks around is great with battlecry effects because we have so many different battlecries that sometimes this thing will do 4, 6, 8, 10 damage from its effect, which is insane, right? If opponents ignore it, it can really go nuts, not just for the enemy face, but clearing low health minions or low cost minions pretty effectively. So I like Rumbling Elementals a lot, and they give this deck really a kind of new layer and a second way to really make a big impact on the game. Bloodlust is just your finisher card. You won't draw it in every game, and you won't need it in every game, but sometimes it'll line up perfectly where you have 3 or 4 minions on board, and this just gives you a quick and easy lethal that opponents aren't necessarily expecting. We have so many sticky minions on this deck that you're bound to have 2 or 3 things up most of the time when you have Bloodlust, and can make for some great plays. It also naturally synergizes with Whirling Zap-O-Matic. Whirling Zap-O-Matic will hit for 6 each time, doing 12 damage, all by itself with Bloodlust. Of course, if you live the dream and get Whirling Zap-O-Matic into Rockbiter, into Bloodlust, I guess you would hit for 24 damage in a single turn with 1 minion, which is pretty funny, but that never happens. Frostwolf Warlord is a nice free card that's good with this deck just because you're very likely to have stuff on board, much like with Bloodlust, and that helps you benefit. It's also a battlecry with Rumbling Elemental is nice as a 4/5 combo. It's also good with Bran because it gets twice as many buffs. So even if Bran's the only thing you have on the board, this is a 5 mana 6/6, which isn't bad at all. And then finally, Fire Elemental is really one of the best free cards in the game that fits into this deck really nicely as kind of the final big scary minion. It can impact the board instantly thanks to its battlecry, and it can do 6 damage with Bran, which is crazy. It triggers Rumbling Elemental, which gives you 5 damage to the board instantly as soon as you play it. Plus, just as a 6 mana 6/5 that does 3 damage, it's really a very strong card. So there you have it. That's my League of Explorers budget mech battlecry shaman. I think I'm just going to call it the League of Explorers Mech Shaman. for the convenient name. But now that you've seen the list and all the cards, I'd like to take this thing and actually see it in action to discuss some mulligans and lines of play and how you should think about strategies. Now, we're not going to play ranked just because we're rank 4 right now and it's still about halfway through the season. So rank 4 is all still people leveling to legend and trying very hard with very refined and powerful metagame decks. And I don't think that's a healthy or realistic environment for what you will encounter as a new player. This is really almost like a legend battle right now, and the very worst, like a rank 1 or 2 type competitive environment. And I think casual is going to give us a better picture of what you'll see as a beginner and give us a better idea of what this deck is capable of in a realistic context. So hopefully we get kind of a breadth of opponents and see this in action in various ways. I've been playtesting this deck throughout much of the day, and it's winning more than it's losing against very strong opponents in casual play. So I think that's a really, really good sign for how it will perform on the ranked ladder around ranks 20 to 15. I can't simulate that very well just because I'm not that ranked myself, and my MMR is high enough in casual mode that I still see pretty competitive decks and smart players. But still, I have quite a bit of faith that if it's winning here, that it will win even more at the desired ranks. So I'm actually going to keep this hand just because we don't have a whole lot of 1-drops that I'd be looking for. We really do want a Mech Warper in our opening hand, and against Rogue, Noyatron can be pretty good. So if we have options, we have flexibility. We don't exactly have a smooth curve because I hate to play Mech Warper naked on turn 2. But depending on what we get and what we see, like we might actually just totem turn 2 and do this turn 3. Depends on what he plays and how the game is looking. I'm going to play this now. And then hopefully we can do this on next turn. I'm hoping he expends some removal here because he doesn't know what's up. And this will allow our Whirling Zap-O-Matics to survive. Like he might backstab this just to get it out of the way. If not, we're a little sad that he saved his backstab or eviscerate or whatever for this. But we're not that sad. The whole game doesn't rely on Whirling Zap-O-Matics synergy. It's not like our win condition. So if he has a way to kill this, it's okay. It probably means he's playing inefficiently, which is nice. And we still have options for next turn. Like we can totem Harvest Golem. Like this is actually more valuable to us than this, but he's going to worry more about this. So he's probably going to focus on this. Like another Harvest Golem would be great because we could play 2. See, he used... oh, I thought that was an Eviscerate, but it's just a backstab. He's actually going to evis this too, so that sucks a little, but still he's got awkwardness here. He floated a mana to remove 2 minions. He used 2 pretty high value spells. We still have plays. I think we did okay there. We're basically forcing friction on his part, which is pretty nice. And this is a perfect drop. We want that 4-drop. Clockwork Giant is tempting, I guess, as an 8/8, but I really just think we want the reliability of a Noyatron more. We don't want Explosive Sheep. That's disastrous to us because we're more about building the board. Clockwork Giant, I have a feeling he's never going to have more than 4 or 5 cards unless he's a Miracle Rogue. Let's see, we have a turn 5 play, we have a turn 6 play. Maybe we do just go for Clockwork Giant. But he has Sap, he has ways to deal with this, and a Noyatron might save us from lethal later, but we gotta have a little bit of fun, right? We could maybe even play this next turn, depending on what he does. If he draws a card or doesn't play anything, just hero powers. That would be great if we got this out on turn 5. He's gonna play a card, so we want 2 cards. Yikes, even worse.
This guy's
Oh, that's pretty favorable for us. Alternatively, we could Harvest Golem Rockbiter it Do we like that better? Floats a mana, but we'd just be giving up a hero power. Blade Flurry, Spell Power would kill it. Deadly Poison would kill it. I actually think I like this better. You can't backstab it because it's damaged. Eviscerate is not clean on it. I'd rather have the minion and lose 3 health than the other way around. Floating the mana might be worth it here to preserve this body. I have the feeling this is going to be annoying for him to deal with. Blade Flurry's not even good because he leaves the minion up. And you'd have to have spell power. Could Deadly Poison it, maybe? Yep. But he's eating quite a bit of damage to do that. I feel okay about that play. This is pretty smooth. Good minion, value play. It's outside of Blade Flurry range, probably. We didn't have anything to Fire Elemental. I don't like using Fire Elemental on the face. Just because it's better used on a minion. Particularly rogues who have a lot of 3 health minions.
I got the best deals
Okay.
anywhere.
He's probably going to prep something here. Prep Eviscerate, maybe? Just backstab one of these, that's fine. We're going to have to kill this if it's not concealed. It's just too threatening. He's probably going to prep conceal it, though. This is actually good for our Clockwork Giant. It's prep Evis. Okay, that's what we predicted the first time. We can actually still kill it with our Fire Elemental. I don't think he's going to double prep. Yeah, this will be just fine. We don't want to leave that around, even though we could have played the Clockwork. I don't think we need to stealth anything. He's used 2 Eviscerates. He's going to have trouble killing this. He might sap it, which is fine, because we get to use the battlecry again. So we haven't really seen any of our battlecry synergy cards. No Rumbling Elementals, no Bran yet, but we're still doing okay. He's getting very low. We've got 8 damage on board. A couple really scary minions in hand. He already went through 1 Gadget Sand and has used both Eviscerates and both Backstabs, so I really wish I could kill that without sacrificing my Fire Elemental. We're just going to do this. We're going to go face. I don't want to make this trade. I want him to force. And we're going to stealth this. I don't think he has a taunt. And he can't sap it, so we threaten lethal. Even if he heals, we have Rockbiter for 11 damage. He can't get to Blade Flurry range on this either, I don't think. Double Tinkers wouldn't do it because we wouldn't have the mana. Double Tinkers prep. Blade Flurry is still not enough. Like, there's no way he can kill this. I don't see how he wins. That won't help him. He's just digging for cards. Yeah, that doesn't help him. It's just game. I don't think there's prep anything he can do. There's no heal. Alright, so the Clockwork Gnome actually, the Clockwork Giant actually worked out really well there for us. Far better than the Noyatron ever did. That's because we were able to get out on the board and stay ahead on the board. If we'd been behind on the board, I probably would have preferred the Noyatron just to deny him damage. But we can't complain there. Okay, so 1 Miracle Rogue down. That's a pretty good deck we just beat. Alright, Mage. Freeze Mage would be pretty interesting. I haven't actually played a Freeze Mage with this deck, but I feel like with Bloodlust and with Rumbling Elemental's passive damage that doesn't require attacking, it might actually be decent. Okay, so that's awfully good. We kept the Mech Warper there just because obviously we wanted it. We send the Rockbiter back. That's unfortunate because I don't think he's going to have anything scary enough for us to kill with a Rockbiter early. Okay, so I'm not going to Mech Warper here because it makes it more susceptible. If I Mech Warper now, he can Frostbolt it, and then I don't get to benefit from the effect. I can Mech Warper again, he can Frostbolt it. If I wait till next turn, I can actually double Mech Warper, and he probably won't have the mana to kill both simultaneously, which means I might draw into a Piloted Shredder or something else to actually benefit from the mana reduction over the course of multiple turns instead of just one turn. It looks like this is probably going to be Freeze Mage, but I don't know for sure yet, just because of the Mad Scientist. I have not played a Freeze Mage matchup with this deck yet, so it's going to be intriguing. If he Hero Powers, I think it's Freeze Mage. Could still be Freeze Mage. That's pretty good. I think I brand... Oh, I don't want to brand first. Just on the off chance that's Mirror Entity, I guess I do still want to brand first. I'd rather him have a brand than a Harvest Golem. Okay, so it was Mirror Entity. Very intriguing. I think I kill this just because it keeps minions up. It's more likely our brand survives. Because if we have the brand up and we get to Frostwolf next turn, this is going to be very tough for him to deal with if he doesn't have a BGH or a Polymorph. He can kill 2 of these, but it costs him quite a bit of mana to Hero Power. Second Mirror Entity would actually, I didn't think about that, it's going to devastate us if we have to deal with that. It's going to Fireball our brand. See, this is the kind of thing I was talking about, like, brand's not actually that vital to us as a card. But people go crazy trying to kill it. Like here, it would have been worth an extra 2/2, I guess. I'm going to kill this first just to check for duplicate. It's not a duplicate. I think that that is a Mirror Entity again. It could also be a counter spell. Either way, I'm going to play this first. Okay, so I made the right decision. I'd rather have him have that than have a Frostwolf. Because it's less likely he has battlecry effects to benefit from it, and we will benefit from battlecry effects, and we'll have an easier time dealing with this than a Frostwolf on our side. So this is just like a Grinder Mage, I think, maybe, or a... I guess Tempo Mage. He's got Portal Entity. Yeah, it's like a Grinder Mage. He actually had a Battlecry minion, but thankfully it missed. That's okay. We can work with that. Our mana's pretty awkward here. Everything's a little awkward in our hand. We'll do this and trade based on what it hits. If it hits the face, yeah, that sucks. Wow. Gotta go face. I'm not just gonna send one in to die. I really wanted to hit him in and just kill whichever one it hit. We got the unlucky roll there, and he got the lucky one. At least that's not a battle cry. Alright, we're falling behind pretty quickly. That's a very fortunate draw, both just because it's a good minion and because the Tinkertown is pretty nice. I think he's out of secret, so I'm okay forcing either of these trades. I don't want to kill the Piloted Shredder right now because he can ping it off and that leaves him with more power on the board. He's got a nice trade here as well, but he might... Flame Strike is tough, man. It's hard for us to play around Flame Strike in this deck. We are out of gas. Man. We have to play this just for presence. It's not very good. But we have to dig. We really need a Fire Elemental. Another Piloted Shredder wouldn't hurt. We don't really have any catch-up mechanics. Oh, that's so fortunate. Man, he had a lot of battlecry effects for this. I might regret that decision. I just felt pretty bad giving him like 9/9 or whatever it was going to be. Ugh. This is bad. If we had a mech, this would be fantastic. 8, 10, 12. We're probably just dead. I'm going to hex this just to stay alive. I hexed that instead of the Azure Drake, primarily because if we lose this turn, we lose this turn probably regardless. That gives us a better chance to win or potentially catch up over the next few turns, because it denies the death rattle effect from the Shredder. But I think we're probably just dead. I can't imagine he doesn't have enough burn with that spell power. Well, we're not functionally dead, then that pretty much seals the deal, doesn't it? So of course we usually concede here, but I like playing stuff out just to see what happens. It's a neat trick. We can kill that, and let's just see what secret he has, if he has any more. Yeah, so he was out of secrets. He had 2 mirror entities. Thought one might be counterspelled, but that's tough. Goodness, he had so many battle cries. Even the Dr. Boom. Speaking of which, Dr. Boom will be a great upgrade for this deck as it grows and you build your collection, and he's always the first legendary I recommend anyone crafts. So if you're looking for an immediate replacement, swapping out a Frostwolf Warlord for Dr. Boom could be pretty fantastic. Okay, we have a Warlock. That might be okay. Here we're gonna send back the Fire Elemental. It's way too slow. We might just keep these 2. He probably isn't gonna be able to kill the Annoyatron right off the bat, which means we should be able to get our Tinkertown off. Should be pretty strong turn 3. If he plays something that threatens this early, we might just Jeweled Scarab to buy time, but otherwise our curve's not bad. 2, 3, 4. Yeah, see, he's actually going to threaten this. He's going to, play him out. So this dies really easily. I think we just play this instead, and then we're going to Harvest Golem next turn, or maybe play whatever this has. None of these are very good. I don't think we care about Acolyte. We need something meatier. Imp Master, I think it's a little too slow as far as damage. It'll take it so many turns to get through that that taunt. Ogre Brute, on the other hand, does actually threaten stuff behind the taunt because of its effect. We might just be able to ignore that and kill a higher value target accidentally. So that sets up nicely for our Harvest Golem that he made that trade for us. He might Hero Power here, that'd be fantastic. Great news, yeah. We needed him to have a really slow turn. So this actually contests both those minions. Allows us to catch up. If he doesn't clear it, we can Gorilla Bot potentially, but I still actually think Paladin Shredder might be better just to get more punch out onto the board faster. And because it contests that. So we're a little behind on initiative and board presence, but we're pretty even on value. Oh, that's really tough for us to deal with. We don't have any area of effect. That's okay. Can live with that one. We do have a 5 mana play, which is pretty good. Annoyatron contests 3 of these, which is nice. I'm really glad he did that. We could play for the 6/6, but we're getting to the point where he can kind of just ignore our stuff if we're not careful. Yeah, I'm gonna play Tinkertown first, just see what we get and see if it influences our decision. I can't imagine it would. Would freezing that help at all? I don't think so. I think we save that for a higher threat target. We make this trade so that we can only attack with one of these, and we deny... If we'd attacked the Imp Gang boss, it would have spawned the Imps for him, and they wouldn't have been able to attack this turn, instead of not being able to attack until next turn. He did that in a weird way. He's going to have to kill both minions now. He could have done it where he attacked and broke this shield. Oh, well, that worked out then. But he still cost himself a damage that way. That ordering was wrong. Could have imped first, ran this in and hit 3 to the... Oh my goodness. That is a problem for us. Okay, so we Mech Warper, we go down to 4. This costs 3. And we have 1 mana for the emergency core. We have to freeze this just because it threatens our entire existence. I traded there just because I didn't want to attack here and give him the imp early. And it did more damage than this one. So now he has really awkward trades. Hopefully we can somehow kill this in the next turn or 2. But I don't think we're going to be able to. We only have 6 damage. Bloodlust? I might even Bloodlust if we get it, just to... Yeah, that'd still be awkward, though. Oh, that's annoying, too. Shoot. Looks like we're going to take 8 to the face here. I don't see a way to avoid it. Or more. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Oh, that is a top deck. Whew. Thank goodness. So I'm going to attack first. If I hex now, I have to deal with the taunt, and I want to get some of this junk out of the way. So I'll hex now. Play the Gorilla Bot as well. If I get a 1... I don't think there are any 1 mana mechs. I know Sneeds looks appealing, but is Whirling Zap-O-Matic actually better? Because we have plays next turn, and Whirling Zap-O-Matic could potentially threaten to kill him much faster. I don't think I can pass up a Sneeze, because I might have a taunt behind it. It's a mech. Well, I guess they're all mechs, but it's potentially better. So we could be dead, right? We could Power Overwhelming. Yeah, Power Overwhelming Doomguard kills us. So we're probably just dead. But if not, we have a chance. Yeah, like, I guess I called that one up. Gosh, he probably had it with Fender Vargas too. Well, he gave it our best shot there. He got out really early with the double 1-drop. That's the only reason we lost. If he only had 1 1-drop, we would have actually won that game. I think. We had a nice curve, so. And the awkwardness of the void, the taunt cost us. It really denied a couple important trades there at the end. And at the beginning. Okay, so Priest is historically a pretty bad matchup for Shaman, just because they have a lot of AoE and can deny a lot of our stuff and steal a lot of our minions. They do different things. I'm sending back the Ooze, even though it's a 2-drop, just because it doesn't offer a lot of value in this matchup, and it doesn't trade particularly well into anything. You have the Dragon Priest with Worm Rest Agent, it's bad. It's bad against Dark Cultists. It's just not that great. Harvest Golem, on the other hand, I like as a 3-drop and coin it on 2. It's better to get it out early because we don't want him stealing it with a Cabal Shadow Priest later. So I like that one. It gives us a guaranteed early play. Jeweled Scarab is not bad either. I'd like to coin out the Jeweled Scarab, but I can't for 2 reasons. It doesn't leave me with a turn 2 play, and if he plays a Northstar Cleric, it allows him to trade in and heal for a free card draw. But I guess not, because he didn't play that on turn 1. Yeah, see, so that would have totally stopped our City Swamp Ooze in its tracks, as I said. Silence a Demon. That won't matter. That could have been good last game, but Unbound Elemental, we don't have any Overload cards, so it's not very good. I think Ogre Brute, again, oddly enough, is the best play. I didn't coin out Harvest Golem there just because I'd rather coin out a Shredder into Shredder. The Harvest Golem didn't really do much there anyway, whereas a Shredder will. Could trade pretty favorably here. Put this at 1 health and maybe kill whatever. Kill this with whatever pops out. Yeah. You can heal first, though. That's a bad heal. He has to heal for 1 instead of full heal. goodness. It's getting out on the board. We play this one again just because it contests the most stuff. On turn 5, we don't really have a smooth play yet. A little worried about that, but...
I wield the power.
Man, he's getting out early. That's unfortunate, too. I think we lost this one already. We don't really have good comeback mechanics, particularly when there's no 5-drop in hand. 6, 9. He's already got 13 damage on board. This actually contests a few different things, okay, but... Fire Elemental, oh, that's nasty. Depending on how he trades here, Fire Elemental could be okay, but man, all these 1-health minions, we can't do anything against that. It's so bad for us. That might buy us a turn later. As far as targets here go, I think I have to kill the taunt just because it might deny something later, even though it's not the highest damage or highest health minion here. If he doesn't decide to clear, we can do this trade. But I think we're probably just dead, right? 8, 9, 12, 14. He only needs 3 damage? He doesn't have it? Oh my goodness. Dr. Boom and the Dragon Priest. Awesome. I think this is our only play to stay alive. That won't do it. We're just dead. It's a little sad to die with this many cards in hand, I'll admit. Okay, let's try one more time to get a good glimpse at our battlecry synergy. We haven't really seen the rumbling elementals go off yet, and it's pretty fun when it happens. We had a couple bad matchups there. This should be interesting. Particularly if it's an aggro shaman. Here I might actually keep the acidic swamp ooze. But not necessarily to contest the weapon, maybe just to get out and contest a tunnel trog. Or if I have other plays to kill the Doomhammer later. Okay, so that's a little awkward for a hand.
I don't have enough mana.
That's actually really good if he does tunnel trog, we can take care of it. Okay, we can't kill that one just yet. I'm gonna Jeweled Scarab, because we don't have a turn 3 right now, and... I know these are mechs, and this is a mech deck, but I actually think Tuskar Totemic is a little better here, just because it lets us get on the board faster. And we have to get minions out, and we hope it gives us something like a Totem Golem. And it still contests this. Probably better. Alternatively, we could Mech Warper Rockbiter. Which wouldn't be bad, but I'd still like to get minions out. So, he's got a decent trade here. If he keeps this alive, it's going to be nice for us.
Don't worry, loves. The cavalry's here.
That's worse. Okay, so this is actually a decent play. I don't think it matters which one we kill here. Just pick the Leper Gnome for fun. Alright, we have ways to deal with that. It's got some awkwardness here. He didn't overload that, that's important. It's also important that that was not a taunt totem. So we'll Rock Rider our face. Let's go here. We'll trade here. And we play this for the body and the draw. Next turn we're at 6 mana. He might Doomhammer, so we might Swamp Ooze, mechanically Yeti. Spare Part could also be better for us than for him, and the body is nicer, so I think we take the Yeti, just because it trades better over the long term. You Doomhammers here? Yeah, we've got a nice response. Perfect. If he trades here, it's even better, but it doesn't really matter. We can still deal with everything. I couldn't have written this script much better. As far as predicting how that worked out at the beginning of the game and in the deck description. We got to see that in action perfectly. We still might be dead. He has so many ways to do stuff with this deck. It's very scary. But we have the Bloodlust. We have the Frostwolf Warlord. And the Annoyatron. That's great. This actually puts us in a pretty good spot here. So we're going to trade like this. This deck doesn't really benefit much from minions on the board, the aggressive shaman, so we're just going to go face because we might need the damage. We have 12, 15, 16, plus 12 from the Bloodlust puts us at 28. I guess it wouldn't have mattered as long as everything lives, but this won't live, so it might actually matter. And that's pretty slow for him to have to hit the Annoyatron twice. Do we have lethal here? We have 12, 15, plus 9 is 24. Yeah. Let's double check the math. 8 is 12. 15 plus 9 is 24. So it actually did matter that we went face that previous turn. If we hadn't gone face, we would have lost. Okay, so in the interest of time, I guess I won't play another game despite never seeing the Rumbling Elemental in action, but just take my word for it, it's pretty cool if it does go off and you get 2 or 3 Rumbling Elemental hits over the course of a turn or two. It can really add up to some significant damage and occasionally clear the board, as we saw with the mage that used it against us. He got a lot of value out of that thing. So this is the League of Explorers budget Mech Shaman. It's also got some cool battlecry stuff going on. So I like this deck a lot. It does some pretty crazy things from time to time. It's been a ton of fun to play it so far. And our win rate probably wasn't that great here in the video, but it definitely is over the course of 10, 15, 20 games. You'll see this thing start to perform and enjoy it while it is. So if you have any questions regarding this deck, please do leave them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer. If you enjoyed what you saw, subscribe, because I've got lots more budget decks coming, along with various other deck spotlights of pro players and just some other fun decks I create from time to time. So thanks so much again for watching, and until next time, game on.